I have to say that it's taken me months of waiting to get you here, Kiran, on Second Act Podcast. I know I'm not making you feel bad, but it's just that you're so important for me, because your story spells it. The work with Second Act is so relevant to what you're doing. You're enhancing life of kids. You're enhancing life of people around you. Your daughter is doing beautiful work. And I think overall, the whole family is into impact. So I said, okay, let me just get Kiran on my podcast. Your mother is stalwart as well. So I'm saying, किस को बुलाऊं, किसको बुलाऊं podcast पे मुझे समझ नहीं आया. But yeah, you are a team of strong women. And I think I should actually get 3 of you when you're in Delhi to do a podcast together with me, because each one of you spells power. So welcome to Second Act Podcast, Kiran. Just to introduce you, you are the founder for a Riverdale school. Riverside School, sorry for that. And this is a school which came out of your design thinking experience, if I'm not mistaken. You're a design thinking person. You said, okay, what do I do differently so that kids really love coming to school? And I think that's exactly what you're doing. So now over to you to introduce you properly, because I don't think I've done justice to the introduction. So welcome. It's a special day. That's all I can say.
Hi, Archana. Thank you for being dogged. For all the viewers who are listening, my God, this one kept hounding me. I kept pushing it, thinking, oh God, I don't have the time. But she just sort of said, listen, I'm going to do this, whatever it takes. So I think it takes a special kind of belief and doggedness to, again, do what you're doing. So congratulations for having done 100 episodes. Awesome. Well, my introduction is super simple. I love saying that I'm a mother first. I'm a mother of 2 amazing, amazing children. I am a designer by education. And I think I'm a educator accidentally. That was not part of my plan at all. I just love ideas. I thrive on ideas. I love waking up to life and seeing whatever it is. Yeah, so I think pretty much once you say hello to life, everything is pretty much sets from there. So that's really, everything else is just work. So, yeah.
I don't think it's really work when I see your work. It doesn't seem like work. Everybody seems to be just being themselves. They're allowed to be themselves. They are, whenever I hear all the people, stakeholders, kids, your teachers who are in your school or whoever, they just spill life. Everybody's saying, hey, I'm allowed to do what I can. You don't have a principal's formal desk. You just sit out with kids and design something. It's so beautiful. And I think you're spreading it out to the global world as well. So tell me a little bit about that.
So I think if I were to just tell you, I was thinking to myself yesterday, I've been working for 30 odd years, right? I come from a family of designers. Work was a big thing in our life. We never had holidays when we were children. My father used to, we would have the first day, he would allow us to sleep. And then said, chalo, let us go to the office. And we were all, terrifying into the office. And we used to do stuff on the work floor. My mother was a financial, director of the company. I just found, and I was surrounded by the joy of work, right? And work not as a tedium, it was family, it was doing work that made or mattered. It was, the understanding that there was no hierarchy in work. You do whatever, right? From you would do sweeping of the shop floor to, carrying things to the blueprint machine. So once you removed all those barriers and hierarchy of what work should be like and what you should do, I think you get used to that as a concept. So it's not about I'm the boss, or I have a certain role to play, or I have a certain cabin to sit in, and therefore I will do important work. It just became a real way to look at who you were on the planet and what your life could mean, right? And so I think that was the place I got set up. I think growing up without the so-called bonds of gender, bonds of hierarchy, bonds of what does it mean to be a girl versus boy, etc. I bless my parents. I have no idea how that came into their into their way they brought us up. But the whole idea that work mattered, you show up and do the best you can every single day. And you did it with joy, and you did it with family, and you did it without taking it too personally, without making it all about you. I don't know what happened, but clearly those seeds that were planted when I was young, and I see it in my brother and sister as well, I think held us in good stead. We didn't have this had to be done. This is how they have to say it. I mean, the very fact that I got married before my sister, I'm the youngest. And typically the rules will be, nahi, badi ko shadi karna chahiye, phir choti and all that stuff. No pressure, boss. And I remember asking my dad once, I said, Papa, what will people say? He said, boss, there's no people. This is us, the family matters. And I think unbeknownst to me, I believe those seeds are planted, right? You take those, it grows somewhere. Even the fact that taking design, I'm talking about 40 years ago, yeah. Who sends children to a design college which nobody had heard of, right? Yeah. And unfortunately, I was good academically in school. So typically, if you're good in school, you had to do an engineer or doctor, right? 40 years ago, and then you go to a design college, so I think there were just so many little moments through the years that built this idea of possibility, this idea of what can be, this idea that, if you don't ask a question, you'll never know what to do. So I think that possibly was the grounding when I finally took my son out of school and said, there must be a different way, for children to learn. Wow. And so it was no great plan. It was I will start a school. Not a chance. If you'd asked me, 30 years ago, is that something you do? No way. I mean, it was not even part of the plan. But I think the fact that my education design showed that it was possible, that when you encounter something that you believe is not creating the right impact on its user, and in this case, the child, and there must be another way to design that solution. And for me, that was the motivating factor. Not that I wanted to start a school, not that I wanted to challenge education, none of that. My bacha must have a terrific time going every single day to some place to learn. What will that look like? And that's how Riverside started.
So what is different about this place?
That very word is different. It is not different. It is getting children to believe they can make a difference.
Right.
That's a very big reason.
Wow.
This is not, I'll be cute and I will have a little room and I'll have a warm swimming pool and I will have all that crap. None of that. No. It is just common sense. Nothing we're doing is rocket science or something in any other school cannot do or should not do. In fact, if you go around the world, you will see models of just the same common sense. Wherever somebody has taken, I think, the courage to put that common sense into common practice, you will find these models emerge. I am not the first one that's done it. I won't be the last. But it's just that opportunity and I would like to say the belief and, the unwavering belief that the child must always be the stakeholder has just been the reason for everything. And that has meant that the children were part of the decision-making. They created the program. They are equal stakeholders. So none of it is rocket science. I mean, I don't think any of this is unusual to say, oh my God, children should speak. Of course not. I mean, that's what the whole point is. But then for 15 years, we've been told to keep quiet. And then after 15 years, we're told, Arey, why are you not being responsible? Boss, 15 years you've told me, keep quiet. Don't act too smart if you ask a question. Be compliant, sit in your place. And then you're expecting different results. I mean, that's what you question, right? Yeah. And I think what we've done at Riverside is put that simple common sense of what every human being needs in terms of nurturing, in terms of space, in terms of belief, in terms of trust, in terms of joy, into what one would call a program. And the results are self-evident. It's fabulous.
Yeah, and every word that you speak, every action of yours speaks that as well. And that's what attracted me to you, actually. I love the spirit. I love the happiness and the joy that you feel from inside. It's a reflective all over you and your body and your face, everything. So it just, I think it just translates into so many other people. And that's why I was so keen that please come on this podcast, because this podcast really is a place where so many millions of lives can be touched. One story of yours can actually impact somebody else today and say, okay, if Kiran could do it, so could I. But but I know that I am a very positive person as well, but I also know that I have to constantly work on myself, not to make myself down. There will be times when everything comes apart, but then we put ourselves back because of a reason. How do you do that? Because I'm sure that life gives all colors. I'm sure there were many things that you couldn't hold at that time, but you did. So tell me about, how do you handle downfall, stress, things going not your way, and come back to this beautiful smile?
Many years ago, I remember I was reading a particular article, and there was two words that really struck. One was rest and renewal. And often we confuse the two. We think rest, when we rest, or we take a Sunday and we'll sleep a lot and we'll rest, we feel renewed. So not true. So not true, right? There are the times when you've slept whole of Sunday and you're still woken up fatigued.
Yes.
And you said, I still got a headache, or I'm not feeling on top of my form. So I think the piece of renewal actually was suggested that there's some factors that bring renewal back into your life and soul. One is, of course, relationships. I mean, are you surrounded by even 4 authentic relationships that you can rely on, and that's authentic relation. I'm not talking about just relationships,
Yes.
So
important.
I've been super blessed to have that in my life. I've had my own intimate family, my husband, my children. They are the absolute source of my rejuvenation and my renewal. I've been surrounded by a team, the most ridiculously maverick set of people who come in and allow me to be mad and maverick, right? So I mean, it's amazing to have people who invest so much of love and faith in you. Just the children. I mean, I'm surrounded by youth, and I'm surrounded by joy, and I'm surrounded by so much of unconditional love. It's crazy how children give you that. The moment you give a child trust and love, it is wonderful how it brings back, and one doesn't realize how important that is for the soul. When you're surrounded by trust, most often relationships become toxic. They're power play, and I have to be better than you, or you have to be less than me, and I have to show you who's the boss, and all of those things, right? And you don't know how that eats away into your psyche, and you become lesser of yourself, and you doubt yourself, and then you don't know where to go to. So I think relationships has been a massive factor for my own renewal. I think a couple of other factors are joy. I mean, I get joy out of the maddest things, and Govinda movies has been my ultimate source of joy. When you're in sad, go see Ek Aur Ek Gyara.
I have never heard something like this on my podcast before. So thank you.
Govinda movies is like the best. So joy, I think, to have that ability to say you're not taking yourself too seriously, firstly. That's the big piece. Oh my God, I'm changing the world. No, I'm not. I've been given this opportunity to live this life, and I have to be super grateful and blessed. That's it. That's all you do. But I think joy is a big factor. Over the years, I've learned to trust the idea of spirituality, the idea of perspective. So and there are many times that you might go a little low or under, I think to see your life by the sum total of your blessings rather than your lessons. I kind of look at it in both of those ways. It's beautiful, so I often read. I have a couple of books on my bedside, and I just open a page from that, and often there's a message that comes unwittingly for that moment I am in. So I rely on that. And then one big factor is role modeling. I have, if you come to school, you'll see Mahatma Gandhi's, big cutouts at different parts of the school. And I often stand in front of him and I just say, oh my God, I'm getting tired out of just a week, and you did it for 40 years. I mean, what am I talking about? So I think if you build a couple of these renewal tools around you, I think you'll walk this walk the journey with a little less self-importance and a little more joy and, stuff. So I think those have been my go-to moments.
So nice. So nice to hear. And I think this perspective really touches me as well. I want to know that because you work with such young minds, and of course, for a little while now. So, did you see a transition on the way kids of today are from the previous batches and then the previous batches? And what's the difference?
Well, when I started, I remember the children that came to me, awareness was the biggest challenge. I had children who came to me from different parts of the city, and even moving from one part of the city to the other would not have happened. So just the idea of awareness at what the world offers. And we were not the internet age then. We were not the social media age at all. So I saw the limitations and the value of both. The limitations were that we didn't know what was happening in the world, and we were not aware. But the benefit of that was we were more willing to listen, and we were more willing to slow down, and we were more willing to be curious, right? So that's the benefit. I think the last, of course, COVID has changed the game, but just before COVID, I would say I've been now doing this for 23 years. So I would say the last 5-7 years has seen the shift that now children come to us super aware. Okay, I mean, everything's on that little phone of theirs. And I'm often alarmed by how early they get at intelligence, and I often advise my parents and the parent body to say, there's a time for everything, and this is not the time. And so that I see that's a struggle. So they come knowing the words. There's a knowledge that they have, there's awareness, but they don't have an understanding. So I think what our entire focus is then now shifted to say, let's slow it down. Let's pause. Wow. Let's get them to munch information more rather than just stuff it into their mouth. Yeah. Right? So the idea of just slowing down, getting children to see each other in their eyes and to smile and to say sorry and to say, I love you. All of these things seriously have become the curriculum. Everything else you can get on Khan. Khan Academy is Zindabad. Everything. So why do you come to school then? Why do you come to be around certain other people? You come to understand what it means to live as a collaborative, to live, to make impact, to understand that everything you do is you're not entitled to. So all of these we're challenging. That's become the primary curriculum.
And since you mentioned that, your parents were very supportive of the gender, bringing in the equality, and that was many years ago. Today is an inclusive world. What are you doing to make it inclusive in school?
Well, you don't have to make it if that's the frame of reference you come with anyway. It's not like, oh my God, I'm doing this. I think the idea that we're constantly focusing on all is you show up, not because of all the factors that make you. You show up because who you are, and then you earn your spot on that day. There is no entitlement. There is no, like I said, leeways for, I'm a girl, so I will not do this, or I'm a boy, I can do this. None of that shit. You show up, and then you will participate in the world. And when you say inclusive, of course, we have a very clear target of diversity in our school. We ensure that we are a mini India in many shapes, sizes, demographics, gender, religious affiliations, all of that. So we're super conscious at the intake time that we reference or we represent India, right? With its abilities, with its special abilities, with its demographics. So we have 25% come totally free. Then we have children of special abilities. We have all the religious affiliations. I make sure that we get them all. So it's a marvelous way to see that this is possible. And if done with care, this can be such a lovely model to then take forward. So I just want my kids to see that, and I want and my team has to feel safe, and my kids have to know that this is important.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, leaving behind what school is doing, I want to know more about you now. Of course, I see a person who is raring to go. Like literally, like I think you're unstoppable, if I may use that word. So what's happening in your life right now then?
Actually, right now it is where do I put the stops?
That's good.
So I am acutely aware that there is a certain age and mortality that I have to now factor into my decision making. So I want to be more conscious of the decisions I make. I want to be super selfish about the time I spend with whom. So I'm taking better care.
That's wonderful. So tell me about how you were 10 years ago to how you're now, since you're talking about taking time for yourself and all.
I think Kiran is pretty much overall bothered by the same concerns, excited about the same possibilities. Just the pace at which she's bothered and excited has been tempered, as it should be, as it should be. Because I'll tell you a small little incident. Around 10 years ago, I had a medical situation. I had a brain hemorrhage, in fact. So I remember the doctor was telling me, he said, Kiran, and I had already been working for maybe 15 years at that point with the school. So he said, listen, you've been running your brain like a BMW. Now you have to be a nano. So I think, like I said, I am concerned about the same issues. I'm excited about the same possibilities. I'm just a little bit more selfish about how I spend my time now. I take choices which are more with the people I want to be with, which is, if it's not my family in the school, etc., I don't want to make the effort. So I think I'm using my time.
Particular from your life.
Sorry?
What's the message for women in particular from your life as a woman?
Maybe I'll start by possibly offering the perspective that it's not your gender that defines you. It's your work and it's who you are, right? Your gender just happens to be the second part. But I think we are every human being on the planet is so powerful and is so capable. We second guess ourselves too much. And I think then we've been so often told that the gender determines all the rest of our story. We tend to believe it, which is so not true. So I would say, don't believe the gender story. I mean, believe you. And I think I've seen also that women can sometimes be each other's best friends or worst enemies.
Yes.
And I think, get your tribe, oh my God, if you have one or two women, and I've been so lucky to have my whole team, not all of them women, I've got some super wonderful other genders around. But I think it's really, tell your story the way you see you, not the way you expect it to be seen or what other people tell you. I mean, I've had so many people, be try to put me in a stereotype about what I'm supposed to be, and as a principal of a school, I must wear a sari, and all those things. And I'm saying, sorry, my work should tell you the story. The work finally has to tell the story. So I've been, that's something I would love for more women to understand, that self-worth comes from the work you do, from the person you are. Everything else, don't let it either shape you or diminish you.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
So I do a lot of retreats and workshops with women, and one thing that comes out very much, and especially women in their late 40s to almost late 50s join in most. And that's when they are confused about themselves. That's when they are finding themselves. That's when they think, okay, I have no self-worth or self-belief in myself. And it's more than half the life that we have spent. Right. So though I do understand that your work should tell you, but give me some things like, 2 or 3 things that, you want to put out there to say, okay, that do this for yourself so that, and in your late 40s, you don't feel this way.
Do this for yourself.
Because I think there's so much confusion about being a woman because we are playing so many roles, and normally we just forget being ourselves. And then it strikes because everybody has gone their way, and then you are left, and then you say, "Oh my goodness, where is my life going? What
Yeah,
is it for who?" And
I
that,
see that a lot. Yeah. Um,
especially, what I feel is that financial independence, having a stream
yes.
of your own income, is super important.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes you don't know where to start.
Absolutely. I think that's super important. In fact, I keep telling my kids and my girls also that finally you have to have choice. And financial independence gives you choice. And that's such a powerful thing to have. And that's often the one that most other people take away from you. They keep you locked in and not give you the possibility to have choice. And choice is such a important thing, right? So I would say, yes, financial independence or financial stability suddenly gives you choice, right?
Yeah.
Choice to stay, choice to leave, choice to do more. All of that thing comes from choice. So I think that I will definitely second that a big time. Other than that, I don't know, just figure out. I know it's tried because I've been very blessed to have the things that I've seen a lot of my team members also have struggled with through their lives of opportunities denied and conditions imposed and expectations, set. So, but I've also seen how they've come out of it. It comes from a space of community. I mean, the community that my team has often said has been their power, has been the community. Right. Community of other like-minded women who have supported them when they've been falling down or have championed them when they felt less. So I think a community is a super important thing, and often I find that we deny ourselves that community. So I would say building a community or having a community, and not only of your family. That's something, again, I've often questioned. I've seen so many women say, no, I'll never go out if it's not with my husband and everything. I mean, this whole attachment to the fact that your identity is only this. So I would say, please love your husband and everything, but also recognize if you don't love yourself, you're less likely going to love anybody else, right? So some care in you, and not just the cosmetic care, but the care in you to, I don't know, start a hobby or, be in community. Oh my God, what else? Financial independence, yes.
How about something like, because we are so reluctant to create our boundaries. And I just feel that, to say no to a few things, or to say, I can't do it, or like, I'm tired and I need this break. I think these are things also not accepted, right?
True. When you're speaking, I'm now recognizing.
Yeah. So
I do it all the time and I don't realize that these are in you. Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you certain things I did. I mean, I said no to many things, right? From going to this Jitu Kaka's wedding in somebody's Munda. Boss, I don't go anywhere. All right, I don't. I have chosen to limit the amount of diversion and distractions in my life, and to focus on only two things: my work and my family. That's it. And you're right. I find women are reluctant to take those choices to say no. Ye karna hai, wo karna hai. And I have found that when you actually do that and you show, and that's why I say the work you do, and it could be anything. It could be at home. It could be anywhere. Anything that you're super invested in, other people start seeing it. If I was not doing a good job and I was just being lazy about everything else, I think that I would be called out on that as well. But when people see the passion, people see the commitment, they might not understand it, but they will definitely respect and say, "Ha, wo to aise hi hai, pagal hai, And then suddenly you have been gifted time, and time is super important. Yes. So I found that I was gifted my time for myself to do the things I found most important. I was not scattered between 10 events and iski shadi na flana dikna ka thing. So people don't even invite me. It is fabulous.
That's the best thing, actually. That's the best thing.
Right? So I have, like I told you, now, of course, at the age that I am in, I am very, very conscious where I want to spend the time.
Yes.
नहीं करना है यार, फालतू बातें नहीं करना है बस. So it's just taking, you're right, taking, and it's not a bad thing. It's not, in fact, to gift yourself time is tremendous. You can rest at that time. You can renew yourself. You can read a book. I don't know, whatever else you want to do. But yeah, I think gifting yourself time, yeah, I think, yeah, maybe that's something that I'm doing that. I'm so very clear. I am to not. That's why I kept telling you, not now, not now. Then finally you said,
I am very honored.
I have to say, I have deep admiration for spunky people. I just love it. So kudos to you for that.
As I told you, I might not do it for everybody, but I didn't want to leave you. That's the only thing.
No, lovely. Thank you.
It's only because of who you are and how I see you and your work, etc. So you're a wife of a sports person. What are the sport learnings that come in your life because of that?
Oh, so much. I think with being, especially with the elite athlete, as not just an athlete, not just a sports person, right? You're talking about a 9-time world billiards champion. You learn so much about excellence, the pursuit of excellence, concentration. And I think what he likes to talk about, cooperative endeavor, that means you never do it alone. And I think that's something we don't acknowledge enough. We think, oh, dekho maine kitna kaam kiya, main itna, but suddenly you realize you've not reached here by yourself at all. There have been a strange series of sequences and conditions that have allowed you to come, and people that have made this possible for you. I think acknowledging that. I've seen him do. I have seen him, his single-minded pursuit of excellence. I am better than yesterday for me. He's never competed with another human being. Never.
Wow.
Such a joy to see that. No, he's better. I remember when he would lose a tournament, he would say, oh, so-and-so played better than me today. Today. It is not a thing on him. Oh, I played badly. Oh, he's better.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So-and-so played better than me today. Tomorrow I'll have my thing. So that mindset to misfortune or happenings that you go through is not a defining straight on you. Right? So I think that I learned a lot, and it's just concentration, boss, at the cost of everything. Like I said, and one of the things I learned from him was to remove distractions and like I said, these other, influences. So he would never go for anything else if there was a match coming up and everything. So I think learning from him what were the most important things and focusing was great. And I think, and overarching all of this will be humility. Just the deep acknowledgement of gratitude and effort.
So wonderful, because I know 1 or 2 YouTube videos where I saw that you were conducting a workshop or a class, and he was jumping to just manage the back of the room completely, giving them.
Oh my God, yes, that one. That must have been in Aspen, yeah.
I just saw.
He doesn't understand anything. And last minute I say, Gitu, go there, get the balloons and everything. Just go. Yeah, so yeah, he's been, again, for me to be able to do all of the stuff I do, you need a very confident partner. Very confident partner in who they are. And that's often not what we get. We don't get, as women, confident, secure partners. Secure in themselves, so they don't get their power over putting you down. Right? And I think, again, I keep saying I'm a sum total of so much blessing and so much, my parents, my partner, my kids, the work, my team, etc. So I keep telling myself that there are times when you said, how do you stay buoyant or optimistic? I would be very ungrateful to life if I ever complain. I've just been given too much grace.
Yeah, I think each one of us has to think that way, because if it's not family, it's something else. If it's not something else, it's something else. There is always abundance of something that we have. It's just that we don't acknowledge enough.
Knowledge, yeah. You are here because of grace. Yeah.
Yeah. So in short, can you explain what design thinking really means?
In short.
Yes.
Well, it really is a way to be on a discovery of solutions, not on the attention to problems. So one of the biggest differences of the design process and the thinking that happens in the process is you don't start by acknowledging the problem. There is no problem. You start by empathy, by understanding the user. Where's the issue? Who's being affected by it? Who is affecting it? So you don't start with assumptions. ऐसे होता है, ये काम कर नहीं ठीक कर रही है, वो. So there are no assumptions by which you encounter the situation. So there's no problem. So there's no problem. The moment you put a problem, there's stress, right? And you start a blame game. So the moment you remove that problem and look at the situation by saying, how do I understand who's being affected and who's affecting? And then go about a little bit of investigation to understanding, let's take garbage. Oh, garbage dump is out there. And you say, garbage dump, koi kisi ko problem, nobody cares. Or the reverse is true. You set up to clean it up. Oh, let's be active. And then next week, the garbage dump is back. Because that's not the solution to that. That's the problem you solve it. Here on the contrary, you say, who's depositing it? Why are they depositing it here? Even if there's a dustbin, what is the time that it get cleaned up? So you start that beautiful curiosity of the human behavior. Yeah. And once you do that, then you work with the user to say, what could change look like?
Wow.
And then you do that itself will reveal the solution.
Yeah. Then you start working backwards to it, and then everything's solved.
And then that will then be a long-term, sustainable, impactful solution. Otherwise, half the time you're undoing, redoing, and then you say, yeah, change nahi hota hai. Ek bande se nahi hota. So that's really what the difference is.
Thank you for sharing that. Kiran, this is a Second Act podcast, and I want to, of course, ask this question. What does Second Act bring to you as a word? And if I ask you, what is your second act, what would that be?
I don't know if I'm in my second act. I'm probably my fifth or sixth act. I don't know. But if I were to look at it as a general,
yes,
sort of,
it's a metaphor. Actually, it's not.
What would that be? While it might offer an opportunity to never give up, right? To say there's always possibility and hope, and it never ends. They have that other metaphor: one door closes, another opens, wala funda. Yeah. Right? And that's a beautiful way to kind of continue the journey of life, absolutely believing that door will open.
Yes.
And if you have that deep belief, then multiple second acts are awaiting you.
Yeah.
So,
yay! That's a great answer. Yeah, thank you for that. So what's coming next for you? You said you're slowing down. So slowing down, pausing, being mindful about what you want to do. But is something still cooking?
It is actually. It is on a simmering bowl, right? But work-wise, we've got our milestones coming up. In fact, we have our global celebration for Design for Change happening in December this year. It's coming back to India. So around 50 countries and children will be coming all the way to the land of Gandhi. I mean, how amazing is that? So that's something that we're looking forward to big time. We're working, bringing this I can approach to education to now more schools across the world. So that's exciting as well. Personally, I think for me, I think taking a little bit more care of my health. For me, I've started yoga.
Great.
So it's been 1 month. I'm so happy.
That's the best.
That's my second act. Yeah. So just this year, of course, I've made it the year of family. So my mother passed away a couple of years ago. So my sister and my brother are in Bangalore, and of course my family. So just taking the time to ensure that spend more time with my family, just make that a consistent call and don't delay it. We often say, agle mahine, agle saal, I don't want to do that. I want to make that happen.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to wrap this up with some rapid fire questions, if that's okay for you.
Okay, chalo, coffee with Kiran.
Coffee with Kiran, it sounds very close to what it is. Okay, so one quote that you usually use in your day-to-day.
Not day to day, but I keep saying cantageous is a good word.
Sorry, what is it?
Cantageous.
What?
We say contagious, but it's
Oh,
not contagious. It's cantageous is a good word.
yeah, cantageous is a good word. Yeah. You said I can as well. So that's a good word as well.
Exactly. So cantageous. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay, one person or book or life of somebody which motivates you.
Oh, I would say my daughters.
I didn't speak about your daughters in this podcast because I think there's so much merit to get them on a podcast and talk about their work. Because doing some
my son and daughter, maverick ideas completely by themselves. My daughter, of course, has turned a condition that she has into something that is so powerful, right? And so I think I see her living with type 1 diabetes, and the way she's made this into something that is nothing to feel less of, but it just gives you so much more to do. So I think very inspiring to see that on a day-to-day basis.
One fun thing that you do for yourself.
Oh, I and my husband every morning start the day by playing Wordle. Oh. And I often beat him. Just letting you know. So we both are kind of doing the Wordle, and then we send it off. So yes, I love it.
That's great. Okay. The thing that you want to tell people who are hearing us today, and then that will be a wrap.
Well, I am more and more convinced, and I see this happening as something that I've realized, is that you only have today. I'm such a fan of the present now, that the idea of today. So you want to do something, it's today. You want to be kinder, it's today. You want to hug somebody, it's today. All this nonsense about tomorrow, 5-year plan, they're just excuses. Really, give yourself the reason to wake up today and leave just today, just that little bit better. And it's a fabulous way to live.
So thank you. That was so cool and that was so nice. And thank you for doing this today. I have to say. Even though
God bless.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You take care. Bye-bye.